We got to talk about Illinois-Northwestern here. Northwestern just came back. I believe they were down 10 with 7 minutes left in the second half. They came back and they won in overtime against the Illini. I'm Mike. I'm very high on the ceiling of what this Illinois team can be, but I think there's also moments. We saw it down the stretch tonight. I think we saw it in the Alabama game, right, where there are some question marks defensively. There are some concerns I have about maybe the decision making of some guys in their backcourt. Kai Boswell, I think has like that dude. I think has the biggest peaks and valleys of any player in college. When he's good, he is awesome, and when he's not right, there's a lot of very very real questions about what is going on between the ears there. What do you make of Illinois? I don't think there's any shame in losing in overtime on the road in league play, but this is still another loss that Illinois has taken. What do you make of this team? Where are they at right now?
Yeah, I mean this team, we've talked about it a few times this season. I mean they were never going to be a finished product in the month of December, probably not the month of January either. I mean they're going to be a February, March team just with the youth. It's your first really true road game, conference play. Northwestern's been so good against ranked teams over the past few years. They've had Purdue's number over the past few years. And so we knew going into this, it was going to be a hostile environment. And I think what I was thinking going into the game was, okay, the one thing with this Illinois team that I saw it in the Ole Miss exhibition, that when teams aren't in drop and when teams are switching and really kind of hard hedging, they don't necessarily have a guy that is like a Terrence Shannon head down blow by guy. So, they need to be able to pass out of it, find the right guy out of rotation and then be able to knock down shots. Like they're going to have to, if they're a team that's going to shoot 34 threes, you got to make them at a higher rate than what they're making them right now. I think they're around, after tonight, probably around 33-ish% of the season. And they just have better shooters than that. So that's going to be one of those things where if you're going to live and die by the three, if you're going to take them, you want to make a decent percentage of them. So I think there's just been unbelievable flashes. I mean, tonight, Yaga's shown us again, 20 points, whatever ended up being, 10 rebounds, 7
Some
assists.
of the step backs that he hit were just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comparing him to Luka, but there is something about when he gets to that left hand. Like that left hand, that's where he's most comfortable getting that left hand, that step back. Vicic has been great. Will Riley's been really good. I mean, these are three guys that are playing their first year of college basketball, and they're really like your three go-to guys. So that's going to take some time. And again, I don't think there's any necessarily shame in losing this game tonight. You want to get one against a rival like that. You want to get one to start off Big Ten play because it doesn't get easier in your next one. Right, you got Wisconsin coming to Champaign on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Ant, go ahead.
How you feel about Hummerkaus not attempting a two at 6'8", 6'9", and how skilled he is? Like that's something that like kind of has been surprising to me is his twos to a threes ratio this year. Just watching this film, I'm like, okay, he can operate in the mid post. I'm thinking like he's perfect for like booty ball, right? Like, hey, get him in the post. He could be a three. He can get a bad switch. And with how big Tom is, he can shoot the ball. So Tom doesn't always need to be around the block. And how good of a passer he is too. Like, geez, I didn't see him being such a good passer. But he's had so many sexy passes this year, bro. So someone like him on top of the key is a cheat code because he can shoot it, he can create without even having to dribble. But now it leaves the blocks wide open for guys with matchup advantages to just go get a touch and go to work. And I feel like teams are going to start putting 6'3", 6'4", 6'2" guys on him because all he wants to do is spot up. And there's no advantage and there's no disadvantage there, right? So, like, kind of back to you, like, did you see him being more balanced and not like, hey, go spot up type of deal?
I thought what you thought, right? Like, watching his film at Evansville, he got it in so many different ways. And I think what you're seeing right now is just the psychology of a guy that is adjusting to not having the ball in his hands very often. And so I think he's just kind of fell into the trap of being a bystander a lot and being like, hey, this is just kind of my home in the corner. This is my home on the shape up, on the wing. And we saw this last year. Marcus Damask didn't turn into Marcus Damask until like the first week of January was when they shifted. They had enough data points and they said, this is actually a really high percentage, thing for us to do is get him in the mid post, back downs, Barclays, whatever you want to call it. And they just went to work with it. They spammed that. Now you got so much more optionality because of how KJ is in ball screens. You got so much more optionality with the pick and pop with Tomislav. Like, I think there's an avenue for him to do that. And for him to be able to do that, like there's got to be times throughout the game where he takes it upon himself and not necessarily having his number called, just says, hey, I slipped out of the screen. I got to switch. I got it here. Instead of just saying I'm 6'9", rise up over this guy. Let me see if I can back down a little bit. Let me see if I can draw two, make a pass out of it. So that's what I'm talking about. Like this team isn't, I don't think, close to where they're going to be because all these other things are possible, right? That can be figured out, that can be implemented. So the skill level, the talent level is, I don't think you can question it at all. It's just a matter of, what's the most efficient way for us to play offense? The ball screens have been really good for them, but are there other change-ups that you can throw in there?
Right. Yeah. And this team is just so young too, man. Mm-hmm. This team is just so young too, bro. It's just the one thing that I did like in the first half is that the way that they can adjust to the way that their playing style is. Even though the game was slowed down a bit, they still were in command in the first half. And I think someone like that where you can not only run teams out the gym with your scoring, but you can also play grinded out basketball. I think that was the biggest takeaway to come away with tonight if you're an Illinois fan and you want a positive to hold on to.
Well, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm hesitant to make this into something that is too negative, given that, like, Northwestern's a top 70 team in America. Like, probably if they get hot in Big Ten play, there's a chance that they can dance this season. Brooks Barnheiser's
they're certainly not the preseason 16th ranked team in the conference. I'll tell you that.
No, they're not. Like, they're a good team, and
they're not missing the Big Ten tournament. No shot.
Yeah, like they made the. I mean, look, they got to overtime, and they won the game in overtime in their own gym with probably like two guys that are veterans that may be the two most experienced players on the floor that were getting minutes in that extra frame. So I'm hesitant to make this too negative on Illinois. Like I still think the arrows. I'm still in on this Illinois team long term. It's just you're going to take lumps in conference play. That's what the Big Ten is. I do want to